Star quality. I got it. I got this. You got it. You got it. My chart says so. Look at me go. Sun moon rising. It's all about timing. It's all about timing. Earthlings. What's it all mean? What's it all mean? Star quality.
What's it all mean? What's it all mean?
Star quality.
Woo. No, dude, really, what does it all mean?
Star quality. I got it. You got it. You got it. Star quality. Star quality. Welcome back to Star Quality, everybody. I'm your host, Astrologer Stevie, and it's our last full moon of 2025. What a year. What a time. It is the last month. We're now in December and soon 2026. So fuck. I mean, how are we? How's life? Wellness check-in. Feel free to sound off in the comments, or if you're a third space member, in the chat room. Wellness check-in for me. I just got back from traveling to the Bay Area for Thanksgiving time. It was my first time doing Thanksgiving at a restaurant, just me and my husband. We went to a steakhouse. It was absolutely divine. Would do again. Saw the former mayor of San Francisco there. We were up in San Francisco, Oakland. We also spent some time in an inn in Monterey area. It was just so lovely. I don't know if it's my nodal return with Pisces North Node in my 9th and then Virgo South Node in my 3rd. But I'm like, just keep doing road trips. I'm like itching to get on a plane again because it's been a while for me. So I'm calling out that 2026 is a lot more international travel and faraway lands, getting the fuck out of this country. But as someone who lives in California, it's kind of its own country in itself. So, and saw a lot of friends. And yeah, I mean, now in December time, and I think December, while many of us might feel like it's winding down time and it's holidays and it's getting slower and whatever, it's not astrologically really like that. It's a lot more sustained. I think, December generally is like a pretty calm month. Now it's 2025, so is that even possible? IDK. But generally speaking, December is quite solid. It's, I think it's like a really good month to not really like roll over and give up if you don't want to. Like if you're mentally in the space to like, I don't know, maybe you want to already like forge ahead on your January goals, or like, eating healthier, or fitness routine, or journaling, or creating an artistic project, or whatever it is. I would just encourage you in December to keep going, even if maybe the society is like, no, lay down, shop, just become a lump that buys things. And because it's really not that. And it makes sense too. I mean, Sagittarius season being, that mid-November to mid-December, and then Capricorn season following, mid-December to mid-January. Sag and Cap are doers and explorers and builders. And I think this is like really their winter season where they get to shine and do that. Also, too, just to kind of get ahead, and I'll have a whole 2026 breakdown coming soon to get everybody ready for the new year, myself included, because it helps me as well. But 2026 is our first new year that is not starting off on like a retrograde-y foot. Last year, so January 1st, 2025, we started with Mars retrograde. Yeah, that was not a Mars retrograde to start the new year just isn't the best, right? Because if we, astrologically, we don't really work with the Gregorian calendar, but we do in real life, and we do symbolically look at Jan 1 as our sort of spring equinox, if you will, as a culture. And so to start the new year with Mars, our planet of motivation and passion and drive, retrograde, I believe it was in Cancer at the time. Let me check. Because it went from Leo to Cancer. Oh, it was in Leo. Okay. It was at 1 degree of Leo. We're all like, who am I? I mean, this whole year has been such a, who am I? What do I like? What do I do? Where am I supposed to go? What line is this? Do I take a ticket? Do I go here? Just like bureaucracy breakdown as well. And then interesting, on January 1st, 2024, we had Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius, which we just finished our Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius. That Mercury retrograde did end either like later that day or like on the 2nd. But still, like, we entered the new year 2024 with Mercury retrograde. Let me just make sure there wasn't one in 2023. I don't believe there. Oh my God, there was. Wait, it's been fucking 3 years starting off the year with retrogrades. Hold the phone. Wait, no, hang on. Stop. It's been 4 years. Okay, let me rewind it back because I don't even think because I didn't start star quality. Well, I started star quality in 2021, but I really didn't start like doing it in a serious, devoted way until April 2024 because I was also doing What's Your Sign. So that was like my main project. So like, I'm sure we talked about it over there, but now I'm here, solo recapping and it's like, damn. Okay, so let's rewind it back. January 1st, 2025. We entered the year with Mars retrograde in Leo. 2024, January 1st, we enter the year with Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius. January 1st, 2023, we start the year Mercury retrograde in Capricorn. January 1st, 2022, we start the year with Venus retrograde in Capricorn. So we had, for the last 4 years, Venus retrograde, then 2 Mercury retrogrades back to back, then a Mars retrograde. All the personal planet retrogrades. Like, we don't, I don't worry about Jupiter or Saturn or that stuff, I just saw someone on like Threads or something be like, I was born during Jupiter retrograde. Help. What does that mean? And it's like, so is half the country because it's 6 months out of the year. So like, it's just not as impactful. Like the retrogrades that really impact us are the personal planets, Mercury, Venus, Mars. And I find that Mars might even be, maybe it's because I'm a Martian person, I don't know. But I think Mars might even be the most impactful because it's the longest, I believe. So yeah, so 2026, just to kind of hammer this December, to remember we may have more energy than we want to think we have. So, and we're going to start the new year with so much more energy going in. I mean, that makes sense, right? So like all those retrogrades were leading up to the new year. So those Decembers were really, we've had like sleepy ass Decembers, if not earlier than that, Novembers, Octobers, for the last like 4 years. And so now we're starting this winter, fall. I know it's different in, the Southern Hemisphere, like starting this, but still this all applies. Everyone's starting the new year with a different energy. And I think this full moon in Gemini that we're experiencing is a really great time to brainstorm, to really like map out a plan. I think Gemini doesn't get enough credit for its planning and problem solving and, thinking about all the things. I think Gemini people can really be good at like, okay, well, if we want, cozy, we could go do that. But if we want to do something more adventurous, we could do this. And they're really good at seeing all the different avenues of possibility and what they want things to look like. So we're going to dive into this full moon chart and get into the symbolism, what's being asked of us in this moment, in this lunation, and also why we even do this, right? Why do we look at lunations? Is it's really setting the energetic tone for the weeks ahead before we go to the next major lunation, which would be a new moon. So we won't have the new moon in Sagittarius until December 19th. It's that weekend right before the solstice. Actually, that's a great reminder to plug. I am going to be back at Two Bunch Palms in Desert Hot Springs that weekend, December 19th, 20th, and 21st. Bibs, if you want to have a little retreat in Southern California, come book yourself a weekend at Two Bunch. I'm going to be leading workshops. There's also a bunch of other teachers and workshops that are included. Mine are like extra because I'm a guest astrologer. Not to brag, but they charge I think they're like usually like $45 a workshop, but they're going to do, they being me, I'm going to do, it's December 19th, new moon in Sagittarius. Then on Sunday, the 21st, winter solstice, Capricorn season. It's a great, when I was pitching weekends ahead, because I just like, this is what I think about astrology is like, sometimes you just have to use your real life calendar of like, oh, I can actually only do these weekends, and then kind of work backwards. And I sent that weekend, I knew it'd be the winter solstice because I was like, oh, cute. But then I didn't even realize when I was sent it at the time that it'd also be the new moon. So I think this is just going to be a really lovely weekend. It's a natural hot springs resort. The water has like lithium and magnesium, I think. I don't know, check the website, but don't quote me. But it definitely has lithium, I think. And some of them, there's just like this grotto that's in a vortex and you can like rest. The food's really great. Their website says a retreat in every sense. And it really is. I'm not paid to promote this. I don't like technically have to, but like I just would love to see some familiar faces and for you to have a really lovely reset time. I think it's a really, especially with this December energy of going in with a lot of oomph and intention, we're going to have a really good time out in the desert. So if you're in the SoCal area over the solstice weekend, consider booking yourself a time at Two Bunch. Also, you can get day passes, I think. So if you want to look into that too, if getting a room is not in the budget, you could come and do day pass and do a spa day. But it's definitely, you can get a group of friends, get a room, have fun. Just a thought. Could be cute. I'll be back there too in 2026, but I'm just really excited for this solstice weekend. Also too, if you're in Southern California, this Sunday, I am also doing readings in Pasadena at a holiday market. This is for this really cool shop collective market called Mesmer Presents, Mesmer Merry Market. There's going to be like, I'm going to be there Sunday. There's 2 days. There's the 6th and the 7th from 12 to 5, 580 South Arroyo Boulevard. I'll put it in the show notes too. There's going to be clothing, pastries, astrology readings for me on Sunday. I'm going to get there at noon and stay till the market's till 5, but depending on flow, I'll stay as long as need be. There's laser engravings for gifts and just like a little local LA holiday market. It should be cool. I've never worked with them before, but they messaged me like, I love that you wrote that you're the Eve Babbitts of horoscopes in your bio, so please come. And I was like, when someone gives you a very direct compliment, sometimes you just gotta come on down, right? So come on down to Mesmeri Market on Sunday in Pasadena. Let's have a coffee. Let's look at your chart. I'm gonna do discounted readings too. I gotta figure out a gift card situation, so that will be coming shortly. It's hard running your own business, guys. This is the honesty hour. It is running your own thing. If you're doing that, congratulations. It's so fucking hard, especially if you're solo. Like the only person holding you accountable is yourself. And I'm a Taurus. I love to lie down. I love to just go out to eat. I love to just sit in the park. But good God, I'm very cardinal as well. So motivation. But yeah, so there's 2 chances to come out and hang out and do some cool stuff. My mom always says life's pretty fun when you leave the house. So get your ass outside. Also, if you want to not go outside, I do have some Zoom reading times in my calendar for December. That has opened up. I've been like working and really busy last few months, so I hadn't had like wide calendar release, but I do for December because my calendar has opened up a bit. Praise the Lord in some ways. Also, I need to clean out all my closets. We'll see what gets done. Accountability group, let me know. Maybe we do that in the chat. If anyone has something they really want to get done before December 31st, maybe we do this in the chat room. Which mine is like, I want to take everything out of every drawer, have an inventory and count, know if I actually like it or want it, need it, and then send it on its merry way. But readings are available. Link in the bio. Worldwide, it doesn't matter where you're located. We can do a Zoom session. So if you're needing an astrological tune-up before 2026 to get a vibe check, or if it's your birthday season, whatever, come through, book a reading. Love to see you. And thank you to everyone who's booked readings with me this year. Thank you for, including me in your budget and like writing great testimonials and reviews. And, I'm just really thankful for everyone who supports me here. And if I've, helped you see yourself more clear through astrology, I'm just super grateful for you. That being said, also, if you've been here a while and like love this and love me and love Star Quality, then please consider upgrading your subscription and becoming a third space member. That is the paid tier of my Substack. And for $7.77 a month, which, my God, might be the cheapest subscription fee available right now. Did you all see like HBO's like, we're now $19 a month and we're going to upload the wrong version of Mad Men with the puke hose showing? Or like fucking CapCut. That's like, oh, we're now like $100 a month. Like, oh my God, Canva. Like, bro, I remember when like subscriptions to things were just like, everything was like under $10. But anywho, for $7.77 a month, which basically, if you want to buy me a coffee every month because you like this, that's the equivalent of that. And also I have to do processing fees, and this isn't taxed. It comes down to like, you paying $7.77 comes to like me getting, I don't know, 4 at best. So fun facts about life. You can also pay for the yearly thing, the yearly subscription for $77.77, or you can pay a little more, a flat fee, $111.11. You get the theme here, angel numbers. And then you'll also get a reading with me, 15-minute check-in. I'm going to probably add some more stuff to there because you guys are just so sweet in the founding members section. So think about it. There's a 7-day free trial too. You'll get the full weekly horoscope and a lot more stuff coming in 2026 as well. Because this was really like 2025 was my first real full year doing this. I mean, again, started to quote, take it seriously in like the spring of 2024 and then 2025. And then, I've just been loving this zone, and I appreciate everyone who's been in this space. Everyone's so cool. Love you so much. Okay. Let's get into this full moon, shall we? This full moon is happening on Thursday, December 4th, 2025 at 3:14 p.m. Pacific time. Adjust for your time zone. The chart that I have in the show notes will be set for my time zone, so that's just going to affect the rising sign, but everything else will be, the same, just like where they are in the houses and what the rising sign is. It's going to change for your city. It might be the same if you're on the West Coast, but it's it adjusts for your city, just for your time zone. Let's talk more about patterns, shall we? Because I was just going on a tangent about these New Year's patterns. Oh, wait. I have to take my birth control. Hang on a sec. Yum. Took it. Delicious. This is a joke. One time I took my birth control on a plane, and I was watching Die Hard for the first time, and I like took it with a beer. And I just remember thinking like, this is the future liberals want. This is like a conservative's nightmare, but good. Stay scared, bitches. Okay, back to the pattern recognition. So, right, New Year's Day. This is going to be our first Let's Go Girls New Year's Day of 2026 for the first time in 4 years. Also, this full moon is at 13 degrees of Gemini. The last full moon we had in Taurus, 13 degrees of Taurus. The next full moon the first full moon we'll have in the new year in Cancer, 13 degrees of Cancer. Then the full moon we have in February, 13 degrees full moon in Leo. This kind of harkens back remember when we had all those 9-degree new moons earlier this year? Just saying. When we have these repetitive numbers, this is just a cosmic signal to really look at where we have 13 degrees in our chart. And let's like plus or minus, I don't know, a couple degrees. Like, of course, if something's exactly 13 degrees, like that's wild. But, for me, I'm a 12-degree Taurus sun. So like, this is definitely, hitting on all those close to the 13-degree zone. Same thing for back when we had the new moons at 9 degrees. I have a 9-degree Jupiter in Gemini. And whether it's, conjunct or squaring or whatever, like, that 9 degree is going to be exact and activated, new moon wise speaking. But for us, that's 13 degrees. So look at around your chart, see where you have 13 degrees in your chart, if any more stands out. And especially, of course, if you have it at Gemini, but any of the mutable signs, it's going to be getting really like intensified. But then also, of course, with the other modalities, and it's just going to be possibly getting supported or questioned or what have you. But it's our last full moon of 2025. It's our last major lunation of release before we round out this year. So I like to look, in these episodes, if you're new here, I like to look at what aspects are being made to the moon and to the sun. Full moons are when we have the moon in an opposite position of the sun. New moons are when the sun and moon are together. And so, we're casting the most light. We are looking at maybe what we need and what we don't need. And so let's start with the Gemini moon, and I'll go to the Sag sun. Similar to last month's full moon, really the main action is happening to the nodes of the moon. So the north node in Pisces and the south node in Virgo. So we have this big ol' square fest, like double square fest. It's the Grand Cross in astrology. So we have this big ol' thing happening with the sun, moon, and the nodes. And so what does that mean? All this square action is definitely about action, about taking action. And back to the nodes, this is really about our future and our past. And maybe this it makes sense for the time of the year, an acknowledgement of previous versions of ourselves, who we once were, where we want to go now. I think this is really symbolic of like some goals changing as well. And I think the Sagittarius sun aspects also play into that. I'll get into there in just a second. But focusing just on this Gemini moon, Gemini moon energy can sometimes really be anxiety focused. Sorry, not sorry. I have Gemini placement, so like I can say it. But Gemini moon sometimes can be a little bit of like anxious attachment, and it's very cerebral. It's very much about like the mental connection, but also I think what this is saying about like with this Pisces north node future spot and releasing from this Virgo south node area, and then obviously in opposition to the sun, to this like major guided consciousness, I think there is a little bit over like, okay, what the scenarios you've been only playing out in your brain, how do we do them? Like how do we get there? Especially mutable signs. Mutable signs are so fluid, and they can be so fluid to a fault that they can have harder time with action. And I think, something I didn't mention was this 13 degrees. Wait, I didn't even like fucking realize that these nodes are like also like at 13, like exactly. Like this is a fucking cranked up cross. I'm downloading this in real time with you because I'm just waking up and having coffee and like getting my shit together. And I love to procrastinate. We're going to work on that in 2026. But yeah, I mean, the 13 is really strong here. And 13 with degree theory, where each degree is associated with a sign of the zodiac. So the number 13 is associated with Aries, about self, about drive, about passion, about doing, about impulse. And I think mutable signs can really like weigh all the options, and like they want to see everything like, okay, like, oh, well, I know I don't even want to live on this side of town, but that apartment's pretty. And it's like they can just kind of do that a lot. And so Aries is really like not about that in many ways. While Aries can support some of these mutable signs in different ways, this is really about honoring that gut instinct and that feeling, and to just make a fucking choice, even if it's wrong. Like sitting in contemplation and study and where to go and what should I do about this, and plotting, yeah, it's going to take most things take a little bit of planning, but also like if you've just been in planning phase and not in any doing phase, I think this is such an introduction to spend the rest of December in a more doing phase. If it's just felt like you've just been kind of taking the brainstorm into the gamestorm. Is that a real phrase, or did I invent it? Very Gemini moon. Okay, now what's interesting as well is that the sun, so let's look at the aspects of the sun. Of course, it's making this grand cross situation with the nodes and the moon, but then also there's this like really wide stellium in Sagittarius with Venus at 5 degrees. Then we have the sun in the middle at 13. And then we have Mars in Sagittarius at 22 degrees. So it's like they're like together. Like Mars technically isn't conjunct Venus, right? Because Venus is far, but Venus is conjunct the sun. It's almost like Mars and Venus are having their own separate meetings with the sun. Like if they were gossiping, like they're on each side of the ear being like, I really want to go do that. And then the Mars is like, no, like don't listen to her. Like I actually really want to do this thing. But they actually all want to do the same thing because it's Sagittarius, right? This is the reminder about stelliums. It's just like they're having separate convos. So this could also mean separate goals, separate intentions. Maybe, you know, especially because it's hard to not think of Venus and Mars, not with like romance or partnership. This could be even like some different conversations in your relationships about, I don't know, like some people are not for everything is the reminder. I think this can be like, oh, okay, like maybe there's some things that are like deal breakers. I need to do this with my partner or partners or whatever your situation is. And these things I need to do by myself. Because again, there is this 13 degrees Aries thing happening. And this, I don't know, wherever this, again, I'm here to connect the dots and you're here to apply it to your life. So you know what that means for you. And so if there's something you've been like waiting for someone to do with you and they're just not doing it, I think this is like a real permission to, first, you can definitely talk to them about it. We'll get into the Mercury energy after the paywall for my third spacers, but just to zero in just on the sun and moon aspects, because that's what's for everybody. Oh my God. And we've been in this Mars Saturn square too. So we'll talk about that in a second. But just on the sun alone, it's with Venus and Mars. It is with the wants and needs. It is with the like very day-to-day desires, coming back to how the New Year's, you know, were crunchier because we started in Mercury, Venus, and Mars retrogrades. Hello, we're getting a call back. Because Mercury, Venus, and Mars, and the moon, and the sun, like those guys, they're affecting our day-to-day the most. Like when I write horoscopes, I'm really thinking about, if there's not a major aspect that day, I'm thinking about who is closest to us here on Earth, right? Because they are giving us the most day-to-day impact. And so also Sag is like, can we have some fucking fun? Can we like just enjoy? Like, I don't know, like, you know, like this is a fun example, but like my parents, like they love the news, but it's like depressing. They're liberal, obviously. And they like love the news, but I'm like, you guys like should have some fun. And like, I don't listen to them. I like the clips, but you know, like the I've had it ladies, they're like the liberal white wine moms who like just make fun of Republicans and call like JD Vance like smoky eye and whatever. I was like, you know what? I feel like, and both my parents are Sag moons. I was like, you guys should be having a little more fun in your outrage, maybe. I don't know. I think this is how we actually get people to care about things and to like band together, is to make things a little less sterile and to make it like real life. And, you know, I think it's easy. These Jennifer Welch and Pumps, I think her name is Angie something. They're the hosts of this pod. You know, I mean, they're talking about like very leftist ideas and a free Palestine. And it's just fun to see I was talking with my parents the other night and they were like, oh my God, we love the podcast. We bought the book. They're so funny. And they talk about real stuff and they hold these Democrats accountable. And I was like, yeah. Like, I just felt like I indoctrinated you with a podcast I don't really listen to, but I like, you know, I support, they seem great. And I do think we need more like white ladies talking to white ladies to be leftists, because white women predominantly voted for Trump and that's an issue. So anywho, not to say like, wow, the atrocities of the world, make them fun. But also I do think like fun and freedom and being able to do what you want and move through the world how you want is liberation, and it is a form of protest. And yeah, I don't know. We can all go mad if we'd like, but we could also just be so motivated by having an untetheredness that makes us more engaged. Hope that makes sense. Of course, like open to critique and criticism and other resources, but for my like basically boomer, young boomer, almost Gen X parents, it's like, I don't know, get off like the news just repeating things to you, and then you don't do anything with it. I just don't even. I'm kind of just at a point of like, why are we doing this to ourselves when we could actually like, I think being in conversation and also being not afraid to talk a little shit is maybe more healing and necessary and cathartic. IDK. I think too, because Sagittarius, we're still in Sagittarius season at the end of the day, and there's a lot of Sagittarius energy here. It is connected to religion and philosophy and our ideas and our ideals. And I think too of like, what do you actually care about? What are you actually mad? Or are you mad because you think you should be mad? And I think there's like, that's the conversation too. Like, where do we not have to like, like the world is so bothersome. Like, we are here to be nice to ourselves. So where can you allow yourself a little bit of more messiness? And two, Sag needs to go. Like Sag, all these mutable signs, they can get just so analysis paralysis where they just stay stuck in the same zone. And I think, I always say to my Saggy people, yeah, you could sit there being like, should I order broccoli? I don't know. I was thinking about broccoli. Do I like broccoli? I don't know what that is. It's like, take a bite. You'll know in 2 seconds if you like it or not. Like Sag, I think of like the Mary Catherine Gallagher opening scene from Superstar. It's like some people dip their toe and others just jump right in. Okay, I'm thinking of like the opening scene where she's like a kid, but there's also a callback later in the movie where she's like an adult. I wonder if this will pick up the audio. Let me just play this.
What are we doing?
Tested the water.
There's 2 ways that you can get into the water. That way?
Dip the toe.
This way!
Yeah. I mean, does that not make you want to cry a little bit? There is 2 ways. You can dip your toe and be like, oh, it's cold. Or you can just dive right in. And I'll get into this too. I mean, Saturn and Neptune are still together. This will be for the paywall people, but I think this will wrap this up with a bow. Saturn and Neptune are together. We have no fucking clue what's going to happen. So sitting and waiting and wondering and pondering and hand wringing and if it's like stopping you, like I even saw this, I could cry. I am like maybe too on TikTok, but also I think it's an anthropology site where we're all learning more about each other. And I just saw this woman who's like, and this might come off privileged sounding for me, but whatever, it's society's conditioning, where she's like, hi, I live in a 1-bedroom and have a child with me and my husband. Like, it's a baby. She won't know, we want to get a bigger place, but she won't know. And I just hold her most of the day. So, and I was like, right. Everything, especially in the United States, is all about, well, you can't do life until you own this or rent this or have this subscription service or do this thing. And it's like also like unreal. Like we all just can do whatever we want, whenever we want, if we're so lucky. Some of us have family responsibility, bills, I get it. But also, I think this is also the recognition of where have we been telling ourselves stories of where things we can't do or things we're not ready for when we're ready. We're so ready. Oh my gosh. Okay. I just like that as like maybe the tagline of today's like, we're so ready. I love Chris Corsini. I just watched the December Tarot. Shout out to my friend Callie, who I watched this with a lot. Maddie, my other friend, did you watch it yet? And I felt like it just hammered home a lot of feelings I've had about this December. And I think it is summarized in this Gemini full moon of like, we, like some things, like we know what we're doing in some of this stuff. You know what I mean? Like we are the expert. We are the thing. We are ready to move in with our partner or move across the country or do this thing. And like, I think if you're just waiting because other people think you should wait, it's like we just can't. We have to live for ourselves. We have to make some moves, even if they're wrong. You can always move back. You can always do this thing. You can always reverse, but usually you won't. Most of the time, you'll just keep going to a new cool forward. And with that, I was going to say, and with that, the 2025 season is complete. Just kidding. We're going to get into the rest of this lunation chart because there's a lot of juicy juice up in this thing. We have to talk about Mercury because we're still in the Mercury retrograde shadow phase. Yeah, there's this like also grand water trine going on with Saturn, Neptune, Mercury, and Jupiter. I'm going to get into it, but just for my third spacers. So consider yourself giving yourself the gift of astrology, whether that's a reading with me or upgrading your subscription. And I will see my third spacers on the other side of this paywall. That is the end of the free section of this episode. I hope you have a lovely full moon. I hope to see you out in Pasadena and in Two Bunch. And all right, let's get into the rest of this chart.